Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Find yourself a comfortable place. Maybe you're already lying down. Maybe you've pulled a soft blanket just a little closer. Maybe the room around you is quiet and dim and just right. Wherever you are, you're welcome here. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow down. There's nothing you need to do right now, nowhere you need to be. Just this soft voice and a gentle story about one of the most peaceful sounds in the whole world. Tonight, we're going to spend some time with cats, and more specifically, with that deep, rolling velvet sound they make. That sound that seems to come from somewhere ancient and warm and impossibly calm. That rumble you feel in your chest when a cat settles against you and begins to purr. We're going to wander slowly through the science of it, through the wonder of it, through the long history of that sound and what it means and why it exists at all. And by the time we reach the end, you may find that you've drifted somewhere very soft and very still. So take one slow breath in and let it go. Let's begin. Somewhere in the world right now, a cat is curled on a windowsill. The glass is cool, but the patch of late afternoon light that fell across that spot an hour ago has left a faint warmth in the wood beneath it. The cat found that warmth with complete certainty, the way cats always do, and folded itself into a neat shape. Paws tucked under, eyes half closed, tail wrapped loosely around its body like a ribbon. And it is purring. You can't hear it from where you are, but if you could, it would sound like a tiny engine made of velvet, like a river that has decided to stay very small and very close. That sound, that purr, is one of the most studied and least fully understood sounds in all of animal science. Researchers have spent decades trying to understand exactly how it happens, why it happens, and what it means. And what they've found is far more interesting and far more beautiful than anyone expected. The first thing to understand is that purring is not the same as any other sound a cat makes. A meow, a chirp, a trill. These are sounds that start and stop like words in a sentence. But a purr is continuous. It happens on both the inhale and the exhale. While the cat breathes in, the purr is there. While the cat breathes out, the purr continues. It never stops between breaths. It is, in this way, more like breathing itself than like a sound. A rhythm that runs underneath everything, steady and unbroken, like a heartbeat you can hear. Scientists call this a tonal continuous sound, which is a very official way of saying it goes on, and it has a note to it, a pitch, a music. Most cats purr somewhere between 25 and 150 vibrations per second, what scientists call hertz. 25 hertz is very low, almost below the range of easy hearing, more felt than heard. You would sense it in your hands if you held a purring cat. You would feel it in your collarbone if the cat rested against your chest. The way a cat makes this sound is still something scientists find fascinating. For a long time, the most popular theory was that purring came from the movement of blood in a large vein inside the chest, that the blood rushing through caused a kind of vibration that the cat amplified and shaped. It was a poetic idea, the heart making music. But it turned out to be incorrect. What actually happens is something more deliberate, more intentional, more extraordinary. The purr comes from the larynx, the voice box, and specifically from the muscles inside it. These muscles move very quickly, opening and closing the space between the vocal cords many times per second. As air passes through, both in and out, it passes through this rapidly opening and closing space and creates that characteristic flutter, that rolling rumble. The cat is not simply vibrating. The cat is actively, rhythmically, repeatedly choosing to make this sound with every single breath. Think about that for a moment. With every breath in and every breath out, the cat's laryngeal muscles are pulsing, contracting and releasing, dozens of times per second. It is an extraordinary amount of subtle muscular activity for something that looks, from the outside, like effortless stillness. The cat on the windowsill looks completely at rest, and in one sense it is, but in another sense, it is performing a continuous, rhythmic, delicate muscular symphony, over and over and over, for as long as it chooses to purr. And cats can purr for a very long time. There are cats who purr almost constantly during certain parts of the day, during feeding, during being held, during the slow drift into sleep. It doesn't seem to tire them. It seems, if anything, to be restful in itself. Now, not all cats purr. This is something that surprises many people. The cat family, Felidae, is a large and varied group, and it is divided loosely into two categories when it comes to sound. There are cats that can roar and cats that can purr. And with very few exceptions, a cat cannot do both. The same physical structures that allow a lion to produce that enormous chest-shaking roar are precisely what prevent it from purring. The structures that allow a domestic cat to purr continuously prevent it from roaring. It is an either-or arrangement, a gentle trade made somewhere in the long history of evolution. Lions roar, tigers roar, jaguars and leopards roar. But cheetahs, those sleek, spotted, impossibly fast cats of the open grassland, cheetahs purr. They cannot roar at all. And if you have ever heard a cheetah purr, which you may have done in some nature documentary watched on a quiet evening, you will know that it sounds almost exactly like a very large version of a household cat's purr. Deep, steady, warm, a rumble that seems to come from somewhere ancient. Bobcats purr. Cougars, also called mountain lions or pumas depending on where you are, purr. Ocelots purr. Many of the smaller wildcats purr. And all domestic cats purr, each one slightly differently. Each purr is individual as a fingerprint, shaped by the size and structure of that particular animal's throat and chest. If you have ever lived with more than one cat, you may already know this. Each cat's purr has its own character. One is high and buzzy, like a small fan. Another is low and rumbly, like distant thunder heard from inside a warm house. Another is so quiet, you have to press your ear close to feel it. The purr is as individual as the cat itself. And in this way, it is almost like a voice, something unique to each particular animal, something that belongs to no one else. And we are only just beginning. There is so much more to this sound than its mechanism. There is the question of why, what the purr means, what it is for, what cats are communicating or creating when they make it. And the answers, which we will move through slowly and gently in the parts ahead, are some of the most quietly wonderful things in all of animal science. But for now, just let that image rest with you. A cat on a warm windowsill, every breath in, every breath out, accompanied by that soft, continuous rumble. The laryngeal muscles pulsing their delicate rhythm, the sound carrying through the air, through the glass, out into the evening. Breathe in slowly and breathe out. You're doing beautifully. Let's continue. The story of why cats purr begins, like so many good stories, not with a single clear answer, but with a question that keeps opening into more questions, each one softer and more interesting than the last. Scientists began studying purring seriously in the latter half of the 20th century, and what they discovered was that purring doesn't mean just one thing. It is not a single message with a single translation. It is more like a language with many moods, the same word spoken in different contexts, meaning something slightly different each time. The most obvious association is happiness. If you've spent time around cats, you know this one already. A cat stretched in a patch of sun, being gently stroked, beginning to purr. That purr seems to say, clearly and simply, that everything is well, that this moment is exactly what was needed, that the warmth and the touch and the stillness have accumulated into something that deserves a sound. This is purring as contentment, and it is the most familiar kind, the one most people think of when they think of the sound at all. But contentment is only the beginning. Cats also purr when they are hungry. Researchers at the University of Sussex, a quiet campus in the south of England not far from the sea, conducted a series of careful studies on this, and what they found was striking. When cats wanted food, their purrs changed. Not dramatically, not in a way that was obvious to the ear at first, but within the purr, embedded in its low-rolling texture, there was a higher frequency element, a kind of cry nested inside the rumble. The researchers called this the solicitation purr, and they found that humans, even people who had never owned a cat, found this particular purr more urgent, more difficult to ignore. The hidden cry inside the purr seemed to tap into something in the human auditory system, something that responds to the sound of need. It is a very gentle form of persuasion, not a demand, not a complaint. Just a purr, just that beautiful, continuous soft sound, but with something extra folded inside it, like a note tucked into a pocket, easy to miss if you aren't listening, impossible to fully ignore if you are. Cats have lived alongside humans for somewhere between 10,000 and 12,000 years. This is a remarkable span of time. It stretches back past the written word, past most cities, past most of what we think of as recorded history. In the early days, The relationship was probably more practical than affectionate. Cats were drawn to human settlements because human grain stores attracted mice. And where there were mice, there were cats. And where there were cats, there were fewer mice, and everyone benefited in their own way. But somewhere in those thousands of years, the relationship deepened and softened into something else, into companionship, into mutual comfort, into the particular kind of quiet understanding that exists between a person sitting in a chair at the end of a long day and a cat who climbs into their lap and begins to purr. And in those thousands of years, some researchers believe the solicitation purr may have been shaped by that relationship. Not consciously, not deliberately, but gently, through the long, slow process of living together. The cats whose purrs were most effective at communicating need, whose hidden frequencies resonated most deeply with human responses, may have been the ones most likely to be fed, cared for, kept close. And so, gradually, almost imperceptibly, the solicitation purr may have been refined, tuned, made more precise. This is a lovely thought to hold. The idea that 10,000 years of shared evenings, shared warmth, shared quiet may have shaped the very sound of a cat's purr, that the rumble you hear when a cat settles against you carries in it somehow the weight of all that history. Cats also purr when they are stressed or in pain or frightened. This surprises many people. It seems to contradict the idea of purring as happiness. But when you think about it more slowly, more gently, it begins to make a different kind of sense. At veterinary clinics around the world, cats often purr during examinations, not because they are happy to be there. Most cats are not particularly happy to be at veterinary clinics, but because purring seems to be, for a cat, a way of self-soothing, a way of creating a kind of internal calm during moments that feel uncertain or uncomfortable. The rhythm of the purr, the physical sensation of it resonating through the chest and throat, may itself be calming. A self-generated comfort, a sound that soothes the one making it, not just the one hearing it. There are cats who purr as they fall asleep. The purr gets slower and softer and then fades as sleep takes hold, like a lamp being turned down gradually. And there are cats who purr when they wake up, before they've opened their eyes, before they've stretched, while they're still in that warm half-world between sleep and waking. As if the first thing the body wants, before full consciousness, is to make that sound. Mother cats purr while nursing their kittens, and kittens, just days old, barely able to do anything at all, begin to purr back. This is one of the earliest sounds a kitten makes. Before its eyes have opened, before it can walk with any confidence, before it knows much of anything about the world, it knows how to purr. It is one of the first languages, one of the first communications, a conversation between warmth and warmth, between small body and large body, between need and response, conducted entirely in vibration. The mother's purr helps the kittens find her in the dark. The vibration is something they can feel as well as hear, a tactile presence, as much as an auditory one. And the kitten's purrs reassure the mother that they are well, that they are nursing, that everything is as it should be. Two beings vibrating in the same key, in the same rhythm, in the same warm dark. It is one of the most peaceful images in all of nature, and you can hold it gently in your mind right now if you like. Feel free, by the way, to leave a comment below if you're enjoying this story so far. It genuinely means so much to know you're here and that this is helping you find some rest. And if you haven't already, a like on the video helps more people find this little corner of calm. No pressure at all. Just know that your presence here is felt and appreciated. The question of what purring is for, what its evolutionary purpose might be, is one that researchers have explored from many angles. And one of the most fascinating angles is physical, not psychological, not communicative, but purely, simply bodily. There is a field of research that looks at the effects of vibration on living tissue, bones, muscles, tendons. All of these respond to vibration in measurable ways. And what researchers have found is that vibration in the frequency range of 25 to 50 hertz, right in the middle of a cat's purring range, has demonstrable effects on bone density and bone healing. Exposure to these frequencies stimulates bone growth. It promotes the repair of fractures. It seems to help maintain bone density in conditions where bone density might otherwise be lost. Cats are famously resilient. They recover from falls, from injuries, from surgical procedures, with a speed and completeness that veterinarians have long noted. And some researchers have suggested, carefully, tentatively, with the appropriate scientific caution, that the purr may be part of this, that the vibration of purring passing through the cat's body with every breath may contribute to the health and resilience of its bones, that the cat, in simply doing what feels natural and soothing, may also be doing something profoundly physical for itself. It is a beautiful idea, a sound that is simultaneously comfort and maintenance, a lullaby that is also medicine. A cat's just being a cat, doing its quiet, warm, continuous thing, and in the process, keeping itself strong. The evening is soft around you. Somewhere that cat is still on its windowsill, or has moved now to the arm of a sofa, or has found a lap. It is still purring in its own particular frequency, its own particular rhythm. Every breath in and every breath out, a small continuous act of something very much like peace. Let your own breath be easy. Let the night settle around you. There is much more to discover, and we will move through it slowly and gently, without any rush at all. There is something about vibration that the body understands before the mind does. You feel it before you think it. You recognize it before you name it. When a cat purrs against your chest, the sensation arrives first. A soft, rhythmic tremor, like very distant music. And only afterward does the mind catch up and say, cat, purring, warm. The body knew first, and the body, it turns out, has very good reasons for responding to that frequency with something very close to relief. Sleep researchers and sound therapists have spent years studying the effects of low-frequency, rhythmic sound on the human nervous system. What they've found maps, quite remarkably, onto what we know about purring. Sounds in the 25 to 50 hertz range, right where a cat's purr tends to live, have measurable calming effects on the human autonomic nervous system, the part of the nervous system that governs whether you are alert or at rest, whether your heart is racing or slowing, whether your body is preparing to respond to something or settling into quietness. Low-frequency rhythmic vibration nudges that system toward the quiet end of the dial, toward rest, toward the particular kind of stillness that precedes sleep. This is not a coincidence that anyone designed. It is not something cats do on purpose for our benefit, though it might feel that way. It is simply that the frequencies that are soothing for a cat, the vibrations of its own purring resonating through its own body, happen to fall within a range that is also soothing for us. Two creatures with different evolutionary histories, finding the same frequency comfortable, finding the same rumble restful. When you think about this at night, in the quiet, it has a kind of poetry to it. The cat purrs to comfort itself, and in doing so, it comforts you. The sound made for one being spreads outward and becomes a gift for another. This happens without intention and without effort. It is simply physics, simply biology, simply the way vibration moves through air and tissue and finds its way to the part of the brain that says, yes, this, slow down. There is a reason that audio recordings of cat purring are among the most listened to relaxation content on the internet. There is a reason that people who don't own cats sometimes play these recordings while they sleep, or while they study, or while they are anxious and need something to pull them back toward calm. The sound works, not metaphorically, measurably, physiologically actually works. It slows the breath, it lowers the heart rate slightly. It does something to the nervous system that medication tries to do more bluntly and less pleasantly. The domestic cat has been a companion to human sleep for millennia. In ancient Egypt, a civilization that is sometimes described as having worshipped cats, though the reality was more nuanced and more interesting than that. Cats were kept in homes, in temples, in the rooms where people slept. They were considered sacred, in part because of their grace and their mystery, but also because of their usefulness, their pest control, their warmth, their presence. And the Egyptians were not unusual in this. In cultures across the world, across time, cats have found their way into human sleeping spaces, into the warm dark where people rest. And in all of those spaces, on all of those nights, cats were purring. The average domestic cat sleeps between 12 and 16 hours a day. Some cats sleep more. Elderly cats, very young kittens, cats with particularly comfortable households and no particular motivation to be awake. Sleep is not for a cat a reluctant surrender to exhaustion. It is an active, enthusiastic, ongoing life practice. Cats pursue sleep with the same focused intensity that they pursue other interests. They find the warmest spot, the softest surface, the most sheltered corner, and they arrange themselves with great precision, and they sleep. And often, as they drift off, they purr. The transition from waking to sleeping for a cat is often accompanied by the gradual softening of the purr. You can watch it happen, the eyes growing heavier, the blinks becoming slower and longer, the body settling and deepening into the surface beneath it, and the purr, which was full and steady a few minutes ago, becoming quieter, becoming irregular, becoming intermittent, until it stops altogether, replaced by the completely still and silent breathing of a sleeping cat. It is one of the most peaceful things to watch. A conscious relinquishing of the world. A body deciding simply and completely that the present moment is safe enough, warm enough, comfortable enough to let go into. Cats experience sleep in cycles, much like humans do. They cycle through lighter and deeper phases of sleep, and during the lighter phases, which researchers call slow-wave sleep, cats are more easily woken, but are still clearly resting. Their ears may twitch at sounds. Their paws may move slightly. During the deeper phase, REM sleep, the phase associated with dreams, cats may twitch more visibly, may make small sounds, may move their whiskers and paws in ways that suggest they are somewhere inside the quiet of their sleeping bodies, doing something. What do cats dream about? No one knows for certain. The brain activity during feline REM sleep is consistent with active processing, with the kind of neural firing that happens during waking experiences. Some researchers have suggested that cats, like humans, may replay and process the events of the day during sleep, hunting, playing, moving through familiar spaces, being stroked, eating, all of it revisited in some softer, stranger form, while the body is still and the eyes are closed. Perhaps they dream about warmth, about the exact temperature of that patch of afternoon sun on a wooden windowsill, about the texture of a particular blanket, about the specific way the light falls in the late afternoon through a particular window in a particular room that is, for this particular cat, the whole known world. Speaking of peaceful corners of the world, if you're finding this story restful, our playlist has many more just like it. Trees, rain, the ocean, the night sky, all of them slow and soft and made for exactly this moment. You can find it linked in the description below. No hurry, no rush. It'll be there whenever you need it. There is a quality of attention that cats have during their waking hours that is quite different from most other animals. They are watchful in a way that feels almost meditative. Sitting at a window, or on a high shelf, or in a doorway, perfectly still, watching. Not watching for anything specific, not tense with anticipation, just watching. Taking in the world with a fullness of attention that doesn't require movement or response. Being present to what is happening without needing to act on it. This quality is part of why cats have always seemed to humans slightly mysterious, slightly otherworldly. There is something in the way a cat attends to the present moment, completely, calmly, without distraction, that humans find both familiar and foreign. We recognize what presence looks like. We just find it much harder to achieve. When a cat sits in a window and watches the rain, it is not planning, it is not remembering. It is simply watching the rain completely and only with its full quiet self. And often, as it watches, it purrs. The rain against the glass, and the purr beneath it, and the room behind it, warm and dim. These things are not separate. They are one moment, one sensation, indivisible. This is the world a cat lives in, not a world of past and future, of plans and regrets, but a world of right now, entirely, always. Of this rain, this warmth, this breath, this purr. Let that settle over you like something soft. Let your breath be slow. The world is quiet tonight, or quiet enough, and you are exactly where you should be. We have much more of this story ahead of us, and all of it is this gentle. In the long catalog of sounds that the natural world produces, and it is a catalog so vast and so varied that it would take many lifetimes to fully appreciate. The purr is unusual for its quality of intimacy. It is not a sound made for distance. A bird's song can carry across a field, across a valley, from one hillside to another. The howl of a wolf can travel miles through cold air. But a purr is close. It is made for proximity. You have to be near a cat, quite near, to hear it at all. And the closer you are, the more you feel it as much as hear it. This intimacy is in itself a kind of communication. The purr says, I am near you. I am choosing to be near you. I am comfortable enough with your presence to make this sound that requires closeness to be known at all. Cats are, despite their reputation for aloofness, creatures of significant social attachment. They form deep bonds with humans, with other cats they live alongside, occasionally with other animals entirely. These bonds are not always obvious or demonstrative. Cats do not wag tails or jump up or make noise about their affections in the way that dogs often do. But the bonds are there, and they are real, and one of the ways they are expressed is through proximity, through the deliberate choice to be close, and through the sounds made only when close. When a cat chooses to sleep against you, pressed to your side, or curled on your feet, or settled in the warm hollow behind your knees, it is not simply seeking warmth, though warmth is part of it. It is seeking contact. It is choosing your presence. And if it purrs while doing so, it is saying something that has no single human word for it, but that everyone who has experienced it understands. This is where I want to be. Right here. With you. The communication between cats and humans has always been largely nonverbal. Cats do meow at humans. Interestingly, adult cats rarely meow at other cats, using meows primarily for communicating with people, as if they developed this vocal behavior specifically for the interspecies relationship. But even meowing is only a small part of how a cat conveys its inner state. Much more is conveyed through posture, through the position of the ears and tail, through the slow blink, through proximity and touch, and through the purr. The slow blink is worth pausing on for a moment, because it is as close to the purr as a cat's visual language gets. When a cat looks at you and slowly closes and opens its eyes. Not a quick blink of reflexive function, but a long, deliberate, unhurried closing. It is communicating trust, relaxation, affection in the particular way that cats experience and express affection. In the wild, closing your eyes around another creature is a vulnerability. It means you are not watching for danger. It means you are safe enough not to need to watch. The slow blink says, with you here, I don't need to be vigilant. You are not a danger. You are, in fact, the opposite of danger. If you slow blink back at a cat, and this works, researchers have confirmed it, it is not just a charming idea. The cat often slow blinks in return. A conversation conducted entirely in the soft opening and closing of eyes. A very slow, very quiet exchange about safety and trust and the particular warmth of chosen proximity. Purring and slow blinking together, which you will often see in a cat that is being gently stroked while resting, are about as close to complete communication of contentment as a cat can offer. The body rumbling, the eyes soft and slow, every signal saying the same thing in different languages. This is good, this is right, this is exactly what I needed. Cats have approximately 300 bones in their body, more than humans, who have 206. This larger number is part of what gives cats their extraordinary flexibility, their ability to fit into spaces that seem too small, to land on their feet, to twist and turn in ways that seem to belong to liquid rather than solid things. And those 300 bones, every single one of them, vibrate when a cat purrs. The sound is not contained in the throat. It travels through the entire skeleton. It moves through the ribs and the sternum and the spine and all the way out to the tips of the paws. A purring cat is, in a very physical sense, a vibrating cat. Every part of it resonating at the same frequency, tuned to the same note. When you hold a purring cat, what you are holding is something that is vibrating all the way through, from its breath to its bones to the tips of its tail. A small, living instrument, a warm and breathing thing, resonating. Domestic cats have been selectively shaped by thousands of years of living with humans, but they retain, in their bodies and their instincts, the full inheritance of their wild ancestry. The skeleton that vibrates with the purr is the same design as the skeleton of a small wildcat in the scrublands of Africa or the forests of Europe. The muscles and the bones and the larynx are built on the same ancient template. The purr is not a domestic invention. It is something much older, carried forward through all those generations into this particular room, this particular cat, this particular evening. Feel that oldness gently, the sound that is keeping you company tonight. Whether an actual cat is somewhere near you purring, or whether you're simply imagining the sound as you read, is an ancient sound, older than cities, older than writing. It has been made in warm, dark places for as long as there have been cats, and for much of that time, there have been humans somewhere nearby, hearing it, feeling it, finding it restful, without quite knowing why. You are part of that long, warm, unbroken continuity. right now, in this moment, breathing slowly in your comfortable place, you are connected to 10,000 years of shared evenings of cats and people finding the same warmth, the same quietness, the same small, rumbling peace. That's a good thing to know before you drift off. You're part of something very old and very gentle. The science of animal sound is called bioacoustics, and it is one of the quieter sciences, practiced mostly in careful listening, in patient observation, in the recording of things that happen naturally without human intervention. Bioacousticians sit in forests and fields and laboratories with specialized equipment, catching sounds on the edge of human hearing, analyzing frequencies and patterns, building slowly toward an understanding of what all this sound is and means and does. The researchers who have studied cat purring the most carefully are a small and dedicated group, and they have discovered that no two cats purr in exactly the same way. Each purr has its own fingerprint, its own particular frequency range, its own rhythm, its own texture. If you were to record the purrs of 100 different cats and lay them out as sound waves on a screen, you would see 100 different patterns, similar in their general shape, clearly all belonging to the same family of sound, but each one individual, each one unmistakably itself. This individuality extends even further. The same cat can purr differently, depending on its emotional state and context. The purr of a cat eating is not quite the same as the purr of a cat being stroked. The purr of a cat drifting toward sleep is different from the purr of a cat that wants attention. The purr during illness or discomfort has different qualities from the purr of easy contentment. The same instrument in the same hands, making different music for different moments. Researchers have begun to develop what they call purr dictionaries, careful analyses of different purring patterns correlated with different contexts and behaviors, trying to build a vocabulary of what different purrs seem to mean. This work is ongoing, patient, and full of uncertainty, because cats, like all living creatures, are more complex than any dictionary can fully capture. But the work continues, one careful recording at a time. There is something touching about this. Humans trying so hard to understand what cats are saying. Sitting in laboratories with microphones and spectrographs and years of data, trying to decode a sound that the cat makes without effort or intention, simply because the sound is what it does. We are the ones studying. The cats are simply living. Wildcats in the family Felidae range from the enormous Siberian tiger, the largest cat in the world, an animal that can weigh over 300 kilograms and yet move through a snowy forest with a silence that seems impossible, to the rusty spotted cat of South Asia, the smallest wild cat in the world, a creature barely larger than a human hand, spotted and precise, and apparently completely unaware of how small it is. The rusty spotted cat lives in the grasslands and forests of India and Sri Lanka. It hunts at night, moving through the dark with those enormous eyes. Proportionally, the rusty spotted cat has the largest eyes of any cat relative to its body size, catching insects, lizards, small frogs, and it purrs. On inhale and exhale. The purr doesn't on inhale and exhale. The purr doesn't care about the size of the animal making it. It simply needs a larynx and muscles and breath. The sand cat lives in the deserts of North Africa and Central Asia. It is a remarkably adapted animal. Its paws are covered in thick fur, even on the undersides, which allows it to walk on scorching sand without burning. Its ears are large and set very wide apart, giving it exceptional hearing for detecting prey beneath the surface of the sand. And it is one of the few wild cats that can be found in areas of true deep desert, far from water, surviving on the moisture in the bodies of its prey. The sand cat is solitary and silent and almost impossible to study in the wild. But it purrs. Somewhere in those vast, silent deserts, in the hour before dawn, when the sand has given up the last of its daytime heat and the air is cool and the stars are enormous overhead, a sand cat settles into the shelter of a rock and purrs. This image is worth holding for a moment. The vastness of the desert, the silence of it, the cold, brilliant stars, and this small animal alone in all of that space, making its small, continuous sound. The purr unchanged from what it would sound like in a warm kitchen somewhere, or on a lap, or on a sun-warmed windowsill. The same mechanism, the same frequency, the same unbroken rhythm of breath, the desert all around, and the purr within it, small and real, and somehow making the vastness feel less vast. We are, all of us, humans and cats and sand cats in deserts and cheetahs on grasslands, making our small continuous sounds in a very large world. And there is comfort in that, in the smallness and the sound of it. By the way, if you have a friend or someone you know who struggles with sleep or anxiety, this might be exactly the kind of thing they'd find helpful. Feel free to share. And do check out the other stories on the channel. There's a whole playlist of nights like this one, soft and slow, waiting for you. The oldest known domestic cats in the archaeological record date from about 9,500 years ago, found in a burial site on the island of Cyprus. The cat was buried near a human, deliberately, carefully placed nearby, which suggests that even 9,500 years ago, the relationship between a particular cat and a particular person was considered significant enough to acknowledge at death, significant enough to mark, significant enough to not let go of, even at the end. We have been finding cats worth keeping close for a very long time. The ancient Egyptians formalized what many cultures seem to have felt informally: the particular significance of the cat, its grace and its mystery and its usefulness, its ability to be simultaneously wild and domestic, simultaneously present and unknowable. The goddess Bastet was depicted as a cat, or as a woman with a cat's head, and was associated with the home, with women, with protection, with joy. Her temple at Bubastis was one of the most visited religious sites in Egypt, and the festivals held there were, by ancient accounts, joyful and abundant and full of music. Full of music. And somewhere in that ancient city, in all that warmth and celebration, cats were moving through the crowds and curling in corners and purring. The same purr, the same frequency, the same unbroken breath-by-breath sound. The same all the way back to now. Breathe slowly. The night is kind tonight. We continue. There is a cat behavior called kneading that almost everyone who has spent time with cats knows well. The rhythmic pushing of paws, alternating left and right against a soft surface, a blanket, a cushion, a human stomach or thigh. The cat presses one paw forward and then the other over and over in a slow, steady rhythm, claws gently extending and retracting with each press. It looks like the cat is making bread. Cat people often call it making biscuits, and this name has a warmth to it that feels exactly right. Kneading almost always happens alongside purring. The two behaviors arrive together, accompany each other, reinforce each other. A cat that starts to knead will usually start to purr at the same moment, or very shortly after. They are, in a sense, the same thing, the same state of being, expressed in two different registers, one in sound, one in movement. The origin of kneading is in kittenhood. Kittens knead against their mother's belly while nursing. The rhythmic pressing stimulates milk flow, and the behavior is deeply associated with warmth and feeding and the particular comfort of being very young and very safe and very full. Most cats, as they grow, carry this behavior forward into adulthood. The kneading loses its practical function. Adult cats do not nurse from their mothers, but it retains its emotional one. Kneading means, I am content. I feel safe. I am in a place that is good. This is the same feeling as being very small and very warm and very close to the most reliable comfort I have ever known. When a cat kneads on you, it is giving you, without quite knowing it, one of the most fundamental expressions of trust and comfort in its repertoire. You have become, in this moment, the soft warmth against which it can be fully at ease. You are the mother memory made present. You are safety, physically, actually, against its paws. This is a very sweet thing to be. The texture of a cat's paw is something that doesn't get discussed as much as it deserves. The paw pads, those small oval cushions of thickened skin on the underside of each paw, are soft and slightly textured and warm. They contain a high density of nerve endings, making them extraordinarily sensitive to texture, temperature, and vibration. The cat feels the world through its paw pads with a precision that human hands can barely approach. Every surface, every material, every temperature is registered and assessed through those small, warm cushions. And when a cat kneads, those sensitive pads are pressing into something chosen as soft and good. The information flowing through them says, soft, warm, safe, right. And the body responds with purring, with the spreading of paw pads, with the slow blinking of eyes. Cats have scent glands in their paw pads as well. When they knead, they deposit a small amount of scent on the surface they're kneading. This is marking behavior in the most gentle and private sense. Not aggressive territorial marking, but something softer. The laying down of a personal signature, the quiet designation of something as known and familiar and mine in the comfortable sense. When a cat kneads on you, it is also in this small and visible way saying, "You are part of my world. You smell like mine. I have put my mark on you gently," and it means that you belong in the category of things that are safe and good and near. The cat does not know it is doing this. It is simply following the ancient instructions of its body, but the effect is the same. You are marked lightly, invisibly, as something familiar and trusted and close. There is a softness in being claimed this way, without words, without ceremony, in a language so quiet that only the cat's own nervous system speaks it. Just pause and warmth and the faint trace of a scent too subtle for human noses, and the purr that runs underneath all of it like a ground note. Cats also groom each other as a form of social bonding, a behavior called allo-grooming. Two cats who live together and are comfortable with each other will sometimes settle side by side, and one will begin to lick the other, usually around the head and neck, places difficult to reach with one's own tongue. The cat being groomed will often close its eyes, will often begin to purr. The grooming and the purring will continue for some time, and then, often, the two cats will simply rest against each other, close and warm. The grooming finished, but the proximity maintained. Cats who allogroom are expressing something that researchers classify as a form of social bonding behavior, a strengthening of affiliative ties, a reinforcement of the relationship between two individuals who have chosen to share their space and their warmth. It is not that different in its emotional content from the things humans do to express closeness: a hand on a shoulder, a head leaning against another head, small physical gestures that say, "I am glad to be near you. I know you. You are part of my ordinary world, and that is good." The purr is present in all of this. The purr underlies it, runs through it, gives it its particular texture of peace. Sleep researchers who study the sleep habits of cat owners have found in several studies that people who sleep with their cats report, on average, that their cats make them feel safe, calm, and less alone at night. The physical warmth of the cat, its weight against the legs or the feet or the side, and its purring, even intermittent purring, even very quiet purring, all contribute to a sense of security that seems to genuinely help with sleep. Not just psychologically, though there is that, but in measurable physiological terms: slower heart rates, less restless movement during sleep, longer time in the deeper sleep stages. The cat does not know it is doing this for you. It is simply doing what cats do, finding warmth, finding proximity, making it sound. But you receive the benefit of it. You drift deeper, sleep longer, wake feeling more rested. The purr has done its ancient work, and you didn't even know it was working. Let your eyes be soft now. Let your body remember that it knows how to be heavy, how to sink, how to let go just a little more with each breath. We are not in a hurry. The story continues at whatever pace is right for you. There is a frequency that the body trusts, not in any mystical sense, not in any way that requires belief or interpretation, simply physiologically in the measurable responses of muscle and nerve and cardiovascular rhythm. There are frequencies that the body responds to with relaxation rather than alertness. The heart slows. The breath deepens. The muscles release their subtle held tensions one by one. This is not magic. It is physics interacting with biology, the way that certain light wavelengths seem warm and others seem cold, the way that certain sounds feel near and others feel far. The purr lives in this frequency, and it lives there whether or not there is a cat, which is why recordings of cat purring work almost as well as the real thing, why people play them in rooms with no cats, through speakers in dark rooms, to accompany the slow drift toward sleep. Sound, fundamentally, is vibration. It is molecules moving, pressing against each other in waves, carrying a pattern from its source outward into the world. When you hear a sound, you are not detecting something at a distance. You are receiving something that has traveled to you, that has entered you, that is moving through the fluid of your inner ear and being translated somehow into experience. You are not observing the vibration from outside. It is inside you. It is part of you for the moment it lasts. The purr is inside you when you hear it, moving through your body, through the liquid of your cells, through the architecture of your bones. The same frequencies that vibrate through a cat's skeleton when it purrs are vibrating through your body when you hear that purr. You are, in this small and literal way, resonating together. Two beings, briefly, tuned to the same note. This is a beautiful thing to know. You are not merely hearing the cat. You are briefly sharing a frequency with it. You are vibrating, however slightly, in the same way. The study of how sound affects the body is called vibroacoustics, and it is a young field, still building its evidence base, still exploring the mechanisms. But what has been established so far is suggestive of something quite profound, that certain frequencies delivered to the body either through the air as sound or through physical contact as vibration have measurable effects on physiological function. Pain perception changes, muscle tension changes, heart rate changes. The balance of the nervous system between alertness and rest shifts. Clinics and hospitals in several countries have experimented with vibroacoustic therapy, using specific frequencies delivered through specially designed surfaces that people rest on, for conditions including chronic pain, anxiety, sleep disturbance, and neurological conditions. The results are preliminary, the science still developing, but they point in a direction that anyone who has ever been soothed by a purring cat might recognize. Vibration at the right frequency does something to the body that is quite a lot like comfort. And the right frequency it keeps turning out is the frequency of a purr. There is a theory, not yet fully established, but interesting enough to hold gently, that the purr may be good for human cardiovascular health over long-term exposure. Studies have found that cat owners have, on average, lower rates of heart attack and stroke than non-cat owners. This association has many possible explanations. The stress reduction of animal companionship, the psychological benefits of having something to care for, the simple comfort of not being alone. But some researchers have suggested that the purr itself may be a contributing factor, that years of falling asleep to that low continuous vibration of being resonated by it night after night may have some protective effect on the heart. This has not been proven. There are too many variables, too many confounding factors, too much complexity in human health to draw a clean line from purring to heart health. But the idea is not implausible. And it is very pleasant to contemplate, lying in the dark, listening to a cat purr, that this sound might, over years and years, be gently, continuously good for you, that you are, in the simplest and most ordinary way, receiving something beneficial simply by being near something that feels at ease. Cats purr for approximately 10,000 hours over an average lifetime. This is an estimate. It depends on the individual cat, its personality, its circumstances, its age. Kittens purr more than adult cats. Very old cats often purr more than middle-aged ones, as if returning, in age, to the frequency of early life. But if you add up all the hours of all the purring of an average cat across an average life, the number is somewhere in this range. 10,000 hours of continuous vibration spread across 15 or 20 years, offered to the air and to whoever is near enough to receive it. 10,000 hours. That is more than a year of continuous sound if you compressed it all together. A year of that soft, rolling, unbroken rumble, given to the world, given to anyone nearby, without agenda or expectation, simply because this is what the body does when it is at ease. What a gift that is. What an unintentional, uncomplicated, beautiful gift. Please feel free to like this video if it's helping you relax. It truly makes a difference and helps others find their way here too. And our playlist is filled with more of these long, slow nights whenever you need one. Now, let's stay here a little longer in this soft and unhurried place. The experience of living with a cat changes the quality of a home. This is something that cat owners report consistently, and something that non-cat owners can sometimes find puzzling until they experience it themselves. It is not just the presence of an animal. Dogs also change the quality of a home, as do birds, as do fish moving in water. It is something specific to cats, to their silence, to their self-containedness, to the way they occupy space without urgency, without noise, without the continuous demand for attention that some other companion animals require. A cat in a room is a kind of anchor, a still point. It is doing its own thing, attending to its own experience, requiring nothing of you in this moment. And yet, its presence is felt. The room is different because it is there. The quality of the quietness is different, not empty quiet, not lonely quiet, but inhabited quiet. Quiet that has a warm thing in it, breathing. And sometimes across the room, or From the other end of the sofa or from that spot on the windowsill, you will hear it begin, that sound, low and continuous and completely unhurried, the purr, starting up for reasons of its own, filling the room's quiet with something warmer than quiet alone. These are the small, perfect moments of living with cats. Not the dramatic ones, not the funny ones, not the ones that get photographed and shared and laughed over, the quiet ones. The ones that happen in ordinary evenings when nothing particular is occurring, when the room is soft and the light is low and the cat has simply decided, for its own inscrutable reasons, that now is a good time to purr. These moments accumulate. Over years, over the lifetime of a cat, they accumulate into something that cannot be precisely named, but is deeply felt. A particular kind of companionship, a particular quality of home, a particular texture of an ordinary life, made richer by this small, vibrating presence, making its ancient sound. In the forests of Scotland, there is still a population of Scottish wildcats, one of the most endangered mammals in Britain, perhaps in the world. These cats are small and fierce and extraordinarily elusive, with bold tabby markings and thick tails and eyes that hold the light in the particular way that wild things' eyes do. There are only a few dozen left in the truly wild population, and enormous effort is being invested in their survival. Careful breeding programs, habitat protection, the slow, patient work of trying to prevent a disappearance that would be irreversible. Scottish wildcats purr, the same mechanism, the same frequency range, the same continuous breath-by-breath sound as the cats in our homes. In the ancient Caledonian forest, among the Scots pines and the bracken and the deer, this tiny, fierce, endangered cat makes its purr. It has been making it for thousands of years in those forests, long before the forests were diminished, long before the wildcats were rare, back when Scotland was covered in forest, and the wildcat was simply one of the creatures living there, making its way, making its sound. The thought of it, that purr continuing in those ancient forests, unchanged through all the changes around it, is a kind of continuity that makes the heart feel something it can't quite name. Something between beauty and grief and hope. The sound so old, so steady, so present in a world that has changed enormously around it. Conservation work, the work of people who dedicate their lives to preventing the disappearance of wild things, is often unglamorous and slow and difficult. It involves enormous patience, careful observation, incomplete information, and the necessity of holding hope while being realistic about hard circumstances. But it continues. The people doing it continue. And one of the things they are working to preserve, among all the other things, is the particular wildcat purr in those particular forests. That specific sound, that specific frequency, in that specific ancient place. This is worth knowing about, worth being aware of, even briefly, even in a sleepy state, that there are people sitting in cold Scottish forests at night with careful instruments, working to make sure that purr continues, the purr continues, the purr. Mountain lions, also called cougars or pumas, range across an enormous territory, from the Canadian wilderness down through the Americas to the southern tip of South America. They are the most widely distributed large land mammal in the Western Hemisphere. Adaptable, solitary, quiet, they move through an extraordinary range of habitats, forests, deserts, mountains, grasslands, and in all of them, they purr. A mountain lion's purr is, understandably, larger than a house cat's purr, lower, fuller, with more presence. You would feel it in your sternum from several feet away. But it is the same fundamental thing, the same laryngeal mechanism, the same continuous breath sound, the same rhythm of inhale and exhale accompanied by vibration, scaled up but essentially unchanged. Researchers who have worked closely with captive mountain lions in sanctuaries and wildlife centers often report the disorienting but deeply moving experience of having a 70-kilogram cat climb into or against them and begin to purr. The vibration is significant. You don't just hear it, you are in it. You and the mountain lion are resonating together at a frequency that your bones recognize before your mind does. This must be an extraordinary thing to experience. The full weight of that large and ancient body, the enormous warmth of it, and underneath everything, that deep, continuous rumble. The same thing a kitten does against its mother's belly, scaled to the size of a predator that could run down a deer. But in this moment, with this person, in this sanctuary, choosing instead to purr. Nature has these moments, these collisions of scale and intimacy that are almost too much to hold. They make the world feel very large and very personal at the same time. Jaguars, which are the third largest cats in the world, cannot purr. They are in the roaring category of cats. But they make a sound called a chuff, a short, soft exhalation through almost closed lips that serves a similar social function to purring. A chuff between jaguars, or between a jaguar and a person it trusts, communicates something very close to what a purr communicates. I see you. I am at ease with you. This moment is safe. Different mechanism, same essential message. The animal kingdom is full of these parallels, different mechanisms arriving at similar communications because some things need to be said in every language, in every species. Safety, recognition, ease. I am here and it is all right. The deepest communications are often the simplest, not complex sentences, not elaborate gestures, just a sound or a touch or a presence saying the oldest and most necessary thing. This is okay. You are okay. Right now in this moment. Everything is okay. The purr says this, and some part of you, the oldest part, the part that has been receiving communication longer than language has existed, knows exactly what it means. Let that knowing rest in you now. Let the oldest part of you be soothed by the oldest sounds. You have permission to be completely still. You have permission to let the night do its gentle work. The frequency of 40 hertz appears in a remarkable number of contexts to have significance for living systems. It is the frequency at which certain neurons in the brain fire during states of relaxed attention. The so-called gamma waves associated with the integration of different areas of consciousness, with the smooth, coordinated functioning of the brain. It is the frequency of certain healing vibrations studied in bone research, and it sits right in the middle of the domestic cat's purring range. Whether this is meaningful coincidence or something more structural, whether 40 hertz has some deep significance in the physics of living things, is not yet known. But the convergence is striking enough to pause on, if only for a moment. The cat purring at 40 hertz, the human brain in certain relaxed states, oscillating at 40 hertz. Two systems briefly, moving at the same frequency, finding in that shared rhythm some common ground. The brain is an extraordinarily complex organ, and its relationship to sound is one of the things that makes it most remarkable. Music therapy, the deliberate use of sound to affect mood, cognition, and physical state, is a well-established clinical practice with a significant evidence base. Certain rhythms slow the heart. Certain melodies reduce the perception of pain. Certain frequencies seem to help the brain transition between states, from high alertness to medium attention to the drowsy, drifting state just before sleep. Binaural beats, a specific technique where slightly different frequencies are played in each ear, causing the brain to generate a third frequency that corresponds to the difference between the two, have been studied for their effects on brain states, including relaxation and sleep onset. The brain, it turns out, can be coaxed toward different states, partly through the frequencies it receives. It responds to rhythm and frequency in ways that are not fully understood, but are clearly real. The purr as a sound source has rhythmic and frequency characteristics that happen to fall in ranges associated with relaxation. This is not deliberate on the cat's part. It is not engineered. It emerged through millions of years of evolution, shaped by what was useful for cats. And what was useful for cats happened to overlap in this particular frequency range with what is soothing for humans. A lovely coincidence. A gift from the long process of things becoming what they are. Snow leopards live in some of the most remote and challenging environments on Earth. The high mountain ranges of Central Asia, above the tree line, among the rocks and ice and thin air. They are solitary, secretive, almost mythically elusive. There are perhaps 4,000 left in the wild, moving through their cold and vertical world with a grace that seems to belong to something more like water or smoke than flesh and bone. Snow leopards cannot roar. They are in the purring category of big cats, though they purr differently from domestic cats, not with the same continuous breath-by-breath sound, but with a softer exhalation that researchers describe as a kind of Proustian or chuffing, related to, but not identical to, a purr. In the high cold silence of those mountains, where the air is thin and the wind is constant and the landscape is all stone and ice and sky, the snow leopard makes its soft sound. There is something about the image of that. The snow leopard, alone in that enormous cold landscape, making a sound that is the cousin of the sound your cat makes on a warm evening. Both of them cats, both of them making sounds that communicate some version of at ease, of present, of here. One in a warm room and one on a cold mountain, but the same essential creature doing the same essential thing. The mountain does not diminish the sound. The cold does not make it less. The snow leopard's soft exhalation is as complete in that vast silence as a house cat's purr in a quiet room. The size of the world around you has no bearing on the completeness of your presence in it. That is a thought worth carrying into sleep. Cats have flexible social structures that vary widely depending on their circumstances. Feral cats, domestic cats that live outdoors without human homes, often form loose colonies around reliable food sources. These colonies can be surprisingly cohesive. The cats know each other. They have established relationships, hierarchies, affiliations. They groom each other. They sleep in proximity. They raise kittens collectively, with multiple females sometimes nursing and watching over each other's young. In these colonies, purring serves its social functions continuously. Kittens purring for comfort, cats purring during allogrooming, cats purring when settling to sleep together in the particular warmth that comes from several bodies in close proximity. The sound moving between individuals, connecting them, maintaining the low, continuous conversation of a group that has chosen, for various reasons, to be together. You can find these colonies in cities all over the world. In the alleys of Istanbul, where cats are practically a symbol of the city, where they move through the ancient streets with the confidence of creatures who have been there longer than most of the buildings. In the ruins of Rome, where hundreds of cats live among the ancient stones, watched over by a network of dedicated feeders and carers. In the harbor districts of coastal cities, where cats have gathered for centuries around fishing boats and fish markets and the reliable abundance they bring. In all of these places, in all of these colonies, in the warm corners and the sun-warmed stones and the sheltered spots, there is purring. The city full of its noise and its motion and its millions of lives, and in its quieter corners, the purr continuing as it always has, low and steady and unimpressed by any of it. A like and a comment truly do help this channel reach more people who need a soft place to land at the end of a long day. If you feel moved to, it would mean the world. But no pressure at all. Just rest. The quality of a cat's purr changes through its life. Kittens purr at higher frequencies, lighter, quicker, more urgent. As cats mature, the purr deepens and slows, settling into the particular frequency that will characterize that individual for most of its life. Very old cats sometimes purr almost continuously, lying in the warmth, eyes half closed, body slowed by age, making their sound without ceasing, as if returning in the fullness of time to the same state as the beginning. There is something beautiful in this. The kitten purring for comfort and milk, the adult cat purring in contentment and ease, the old cat purring in the warmth of its last years, in the accumulated comfort of a long life. The same sound with different things in it across the whole arc of a life. all of it tending toward ease, all of it saying in the same low, continuous frequency, "This is good. I am here. The world right now is warm." Somewhere in the vicinity of 38 degrees north latitude and 140 degrees east longitude, which is to say, in Japan, there are cafes where you can go not to drink coffee, or not only to drink coffee, but to spend time with cats. These are called neko cafes, from the Japanese word for cat, and they have been part of the Japanese urban landscape since the early 2000s. The idea spread outward from there to South Korea, to Taiwan, to Europe, to North America. And now there are cat cafes in cities all over the world, on every inhabited continent. People go to cat cafes for many reasons. Because they live in apartments where pets are not allowed. Because they are lonely. Because they have had a difficult day and need something soft. Because they want the particular quality of company that cats offer. Present without being demanding, warm without requiring performance. And in all of these cafes, in all of these cities, the sound that these people come for, even if they don't quite name it this way, is the purr. The therapy aspect of animal contact is well documented. Animal-assisted therapy, the formal clinical use of animals in therapeutic settings, has demonstrated measurable benefits for anxiety, depression, isolation, and a range of other conditions. Dogs are the most commonly used therapy animals, but cats are used too, particularly in residential settings, in care homes for the elderly, in long-term hospital wards, in psychiatric facilities, where a calm, slow-moving, quietly purring presence can do things that no medication quite manages. The elderly residents of care homes who have a resident cat, or who receive regular visits from therapy cats, show measurable differences in mood, in agitation, in engagement. They pet the cat purrs. Something passes between them in both directions, in the touch, in the warmth, in the sound, and the world becomes for a little while a more bearable and even pleasant place. This is not trivial. For someone in a care home, surrounded by medical necessity and institutional routine, and the particular loneliness of having outlived many of the people who knew them best, the arrival of a warm, purring animal in their lap may be one of the most meaningful things in their day. The cat does not know this. The cat is simply doing what cats do, finding a warm lap, settling into it, making it sound. But the person receiving it knows. The person receiving it feels it in a way that is very close to the bone. Kindness that doesn't know it's being kind is sometimes the most complete kind there is. The whiskers of a cat, those long, sensitive facial hairs arranged in specific patterns on either side of the nose and above the eyes, are, like the paw pads, instruments of extraordinary sensitivity. Each whisker is connected to a rich network of nerve endings at its base and provides the cat with constant information about air movement, about proximity to objects, about changes in the environment. Cats can detect very slight air currents through their whiskers. the sort of turbulence created by an object nearby or by something moving in the dark. This is part of how cats navigate in low-light conditions with such confidence. They are feeling the space around them through their whiskers, building a spatial map from air movement that supplements what their eyes can see. When a cat is calm and content, its whiskers are held in a particular position, roughly horizontal, fanning out to either side, relaxed. When a cat is alert or interested, the whiskers move forward, gathering more information. When a cat is uneasy, they may flatten back. The position of the whiskers is one of the most reliable indicators of a cat's emotional state. And once you learn to read it, you find yourself attending to it automatically, noticing as you approach a cat whether the whiskers are relaxed and horizontal, and feeling, when they are, a small reciprocal relaxation in yourself. A relaxed cat with horizontal whiskers, slow blinking eyes, and a purring throat is communicating its ease through every available channel simultaneously. Sound, posture, facial expression, the position of every sensitive hair on its face, all of it saying the same thing. Everything is fine. Right now, in this exact moment, everything is completely fine. How often do we find anything that communicates its ease so completely and so honestly? The cat doesn't hold anything back. It doesn't perform contentment while feeling otherwise. It doesn't put a good face on an anxious state. When it is at ease, every part of it is at ease, and every part of it says so. There is no gap between inner state and outward expression. The cat is, in this moment, perfectly legible. There is a teaching in this if you want one, or simply a quality to admire if you don't need it to be a teaching. The completeness of the cat's ease when it is easy, the wholeness of it. Let your own body try, just for a moment, to be as completely at rest as a purring cat, whiskers horizontal, or the equivalent. Eyes soft and slow, every muscle as loose as it can be, the breath easy and unforced, the purr, if you had one, running underneath everything like a ground note. You're getting closer to sleep. That's exactly right. Let it come. The night world is quiet in ways the day rarely manages. Sound behaves differently in the dark, not because physics changes, but because the sources of daytime sound gradually fall silent, one by one. And what remains is the older sound, the quieter sound, the sound of wind and water, and the small movements of living things. Cats are crepuscular and nocturnal animals, most active around dawn and dusk, and often quite active in the night hours when humans are asleep. This is one source of the classic cat owner experience of being woken at 3 a.m. by a cat walking across your face or demanding food with unambiguous clarity. The cat has been awake, doing cat things in the dark, and has now decided that it is a reasonable hour to attend to breakfast. But in between these active periods, cats sleep deeply and well, and when they sleep near humans, they often choose the warmest and most comfortable available spot, which is frequently on or very near the sleeping human. Cats are skilled at finding warmth, and a sleeping human generates a considerable amount of it. The cat locates the exact optimal position in the hollow of bent knees against the curve of a back on the warmth of a chest, and settles with a precision that seems almost architectural. And then, often, it purrs. The sound in the night is different from the sound in the day. In the day, the purr is part of a room full of other sounds, other inputs, other things demanding attention. At night, in the quiet, the purr is more present, more filling. It takes up more of the available acoustic space because there is less competing with it. You hear it more completely. You feel it more completely. The vibration against your chest or legs or feet seems larger in the quiet, more resonant, more real. This is one of the reasons that so many cat owners identify the nighttime purr as one of the most comforting experiences they know. Not just comforting in an abstract sense, but specifically sleep-inducing, specifically anxiety-reducing, specifically good for the transition from the complicated activity of the day into the simple necessity of rest. The purr in the night, close and warm, felt as much as heard, seems to do something to the nervous system that tips it toward sleep more effectively than almost anything else. Some people, when they can't sleep, try to recall the sound and feeling of a cat purring. They bring it up in memory, the weight and warmth, the vibration, the steady, unbroken rhythm, and use it as an anchor to pull themselves away from the thoughts that circle and toward the stillness that sleep requires. Memory of a purr, the body responding to the memory almost as it responds to the real thing, almost the same relaxation, almost the same slowing, almost the same sense of being accompanied into the dark by something warm and steady. This is what a very good memory does. This is what a very good thing leaves behind. Cats have been associated with the night and with mystery in many cultures and across many centuries. In folklore, in mythology, in the stories that communities tell about the world, cats occupy a particular space, not quite tame and not quite wild, moving between the human and the natural, with a freedom that few other domestic animals possess. The cat that walks by itself, as Rudyard Kipling wrote, in one of the most enduring portraits of feline independence, not belonging entirely to the house or entirely to the wild, but moving freely between. This in-between quality is part of what makes cats feel slightly mysterious, even in the most ordinary domestic setting. They are genuinely two things at once, genuinely of the house, and genuinely of something older and wilder than any house. When a cat stares at something you can't see, at a corner of the ceiling, at a particular patch of wall, with an attention so complete it's almost unsettling, it is probably detecting something real, some sound or vibration at the edge of its perception that you can't detect. But it looks like it is seeing something else entirely, and then it turns away, sits down, and begins to purr, and the mystery dissolves into the ordinary, back to this warm room, this comfortable position, this breath. The purr resumes. The night has these moments, too, of something that feels larger or stranger briefly touching the ordinary, and then receding, and the ordinary resuming, warm and intact. A sound in the dark that turns out to be wind, a shape that resolves into something familiar. The cat that was staring at something unknowable, now washing its face with complete concentration, purring contentedly. The world is mostly ordinary most of the time, and the ordinary, when you attend to it closely, when you let it be what it is without looking past it for something else, is extraordinarily enough. A warm room, a breathing body, a sound like a small river running close, the night outside and the quiet inside, and the steady rhythm of everything that is fine. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. There are cats in space stations, or there were in the early history of space exploration. Several countries considered or tested the use of animals in orbital environments, and cats were among those studied, though they did not ultimately become the primary animal ambassadors of space travel that dogs and monkeys briefly were. But the idea of a cat in zero gravity is irresistible. That extraordinary body, built for precision and control, encountering a physics it was never designed for. Would it purr in zero gravity? Almost certainly yes. The purr is internal. It doesn't depend on gravity. The laryngeal muscles would pulse. The air would pass through. The sound would continue, unperturbed by the absence of a floor. The image is oddly comforting. A cat floating gently in the hum of a spacecraft far above the Earth, purring. The Earth below, enormous and blue and quiet from that distance, and the purr continuing, warm and small and completely itself, indifferent to the vastness around it. This is what the purr is like, actually. Not in space, but in the ordinary world. It continues. Whatever is happening outside, the weather, the news, the busyness and noise of human activity, the purr continues warm and small and completely itself. It does not modulate for the size of the world. It does not become less when the world is large or difficult. It is simply what it is, whenever and wherever it occurs. The same frequency, the same rhythm, the same deep and ancient sound. There is something steadying about anything that continues regardless. The tides continue. The seasons continue. The turning of the earth continues. And somewhere in a warm room, or on a cold mountain, or in the ancient forests of Scotland, or in a sun-drenched alley in Rome, something is purring. The oldest confirmed relationship between a specific cat and a specific human, based on archaeological evidence, is that burial on Cyprus. The cat interred alongside a human approximately 9,500 years ago. But the relationship between the species as a whole is older than any single burial can capture. Wildcats and humans have overlapped in their ranges for tens of thousands of years. The process of cats gradually becoming comfortable around human settlements, and then comfortable with individual humans, and then, in some cases, deeply attached to individual humans, happened slowly and without any single moment of decision. It was not domestication in the way that dog domestication worked, through deliberate breeding for specific traits, through active human shaping of a wild species. It was more like a mutual negotiation. Cats moved closer because there was food near humans. Humans allowed it because cats were useful, And in the space created by that mutual benefit, something else grew, gradually, over generations, over centuries. That was not just utility, but something that looks, from this distance, a great deal like affection. The affection was real. The Egyptian goddess Bastet was not merely symbolic of utility. The cat buried on Cyprus was not buried there because it was economically valuable. Somewhere in the long process of getting closer, humans and cats found in each other something that went beyond function, something that was simply nice, something that was its own reason for continuing. 10,000 years of choosing to be near each other, 10,000 years of shared warmth and shared evenings and shared quiet and that continuous vibrating sound accompanying all of it. This is not a small thing. This is, in its own quiet way, one of the great ongoing projects of affection in the history of the world. If you're still awake, thank you for being here through so much of this story. If you've found some part of it restful, please do share it with someone who might need a soft place tonight. And the playlist is there whenever you want another slow, gentle night like this one. The cat on the windowsill has shifted position. It does this sometimes, without waking, through some navigational sense that keeps it in the optimal spot as the warmth moves. The light that was falling through the glass an hour ago has shifted, and the cat has shifted with it, microscopically, incrementally, tracking the warmth the way a plant tracks the sun. It is still asleep, or nearly. Its breath is slow and deep. Its purr has softened to almost nothing, the muscles barely moving, the sound barely there, just the ghost of a purr, just the suggestion of that rhythm, continuing even in deep sleep. You are like that now, or becoming like that, barely here, barely present to the words, drifting in the particular direction that the words are pointing, toward warmth, toward quiet, toward the very simple state of being a body at rest in a safe place, with nothing required of it. The words will keep going a little longer. You don't have to follow them. You can let them become a sound, just a sound. The way the purr is just a sound, low and steady and warm, not needing to be decoded, just received. Let it be whatever it is. Let yourself drift wherever you're going. You're doing beautifully. The rain is the same frequency as nothing in particular, and yet the sound of it is one of the most reliably soothing things in the world. Scientists who study auditory perception call it pink noise, a kind of sound that contains all frequencies, but in a particular distribution, richer in lower frequencies, that the brain processes as a smooth, undifferentiated whole rather than as individual signals. The brain doesn't try to identify pink noise. It doesn't try to extract meaning from it. It simply receives it, and in the receiving, relaxes. The constant monitoring for meaningful signals, the part of the auditory system that is always on guard, always scanning for something that might matter, stands down because it has heard everything, and everything is just rain, and rain requires nothing. Cat purring has properties similar to pink noise. The continuous, consistent, low-frequency sound, unchanging and undemanding, gives the auditory monitoring system nothing to respond to. Nothing is changing. Nothing is signaling urgency. There is only this steady, soft, continuous sound, and the brain can let it wash over rather than through, can receive it without processing it, can let it become the auditory equivalent of a weighted blanket, present, warm, covering everything lightly. This is why the purr works as a sleep aid, even for people who are not thinking about cats. You don't have to be imagining a cat. You don't have to feel any particular affection for the source of the sound. The sound itself does its work regardless. The frequencies do what frequencies do with the autonomic nervous system. The continuous rhythm does what rhythm does with the attentional system. The brain slows, the heart follows, and sleep approaches. The relationship between rhythm and sleep is ancient and deep. Humans have used rhythmic sound to induce and ease sleep for as long as humans have been conscious enough to try. The lullaby is rhythmic. The rocking of a cradle is rhythmic. The sound of a heartbeat is rhythmic, and there is evidence that the sound of a heartbeat, heard by every human being for months before birth, the very first steady sound anyone knows, carries a comfort all its own, a familiarity so deep it predates memory. The purr is rhythmic in the same way, not identical to a heartbeat, but in the same family of sounds, the steady, continuous, low-frequency pulse that says, a living thing is here, it is calm, it is functioning, everything is proceeding as it should, the living world operating normally, the heartbeat of something at peace. Cats have been used as therapeutic companions in grief settings with people who have recently lost someone they loved. The research on this is limited but suggestive. The presence of a cat, specifically its warmth, its purr, its lack of demands for any particular emotional response, seems to provide a kind of company that doesn't require anything. You don't have to be well for a cat. You don't have to perform or explain or be at any particular stage of any particular process. You can simply be where you are, in whatever state you're in, and the cat will settle against you and purr, indifferent to everything except the available warmth. There is freedom in this kind of company that asks nothing and offers warmth, company that is simply present without agenda or expectation, filling the silence with that soft and continuous sound. Grief and sleep have a complicated relationship. The nights after a loss are often the hardest nights. The unstructured dark, the absence of the distractions of the day, the mind with nothing to do but feel the shape of what is missing. And in those nights, the purr of a cat, the simple physical presence of something warm and continuous, can do something that nothing else quite manages. Not filling the absence, not mending anything, but accompanying, being there. The world is diminished, and yet this small, warm, purring thing is still in it, making it sound, and the sound is real, and the warmth is real, and that is something. That is something. The body heals in sleep, not metaphorically, literally, physiologically. The deepest stages of sleep are when the most significant repair processes occur. Tissue is rebuilt. Immune function is consolidated. The brain clears waste products that accumulate during waking activity. Growth hormone is released. The entire system uses the opportunity of stillness to do the maintenance that cannot be done while the body is active and the brain is engaged with the world. Sleep is not a suspension of life. It is a different mode of life, a mode in which the body turns its attention inward, attends to itself, fixes what needs fixing, and builds what needs building. You are, while sleeping, doing important work. The most important work, the kind that cannot be done any other way. The purr is compatible with this work. It is, itself, a kind of repair. The cat's own body using its resting time to do maintenance through vibration, keeping its bones strong, its muscles healthy. Two bodies resting near each other, each doing its own quiet healing, the cat and the human in the same warm dark, taking care of themselves. The dark is kind, the night is generous. It gives back what the day takes. It restores gently and without fanfare what was spent. You are being restored right now. You may not feel it yet. Restoration is quiet and invisible and happens below the level of attention. But it is happening. The body knows what to do with rest. You only have to let it. Let it. Across the world tonight, in cities and villages and farmhouses and apartments and huts and hospitals and care homes and shelters and warm ordinary kitchens, cats are purring. Probably millions of them. The exact number is unknowable, but there are an estimated 600 million domestic cats in the world, owned and feral combined, and a significant portion of them at any given moment will be in a state of ease sufficient to purr. 600 million, each one purring at its own particular frequency, in its own particular rhythm, in its own particular place. The world at night humming with all of this quiet, continuous, uncoordinated, uncelebrated sound, spreading through warm rooms and cold alleys and sunlit windows and dark corners, from Finland to Fiji, from Iceland to Indonesia. All of it the same thing. All of it the same ancient mechanism, the same laryngeal muscles, the same rhythm of breath. If you could hear all of it at once, which you cannot, and which would perhaps be overwhelming, it would probably sound like a very large, very diffuse, very soft, low note. The world humming at 40 hertz. The earth gently, continuously vibrating at the purr frequency of its cats. This is not something that means anything in particular. It is simply a fact of the world as it is tonight. A beautiful fact, if you let yourself see it that way. The world that contains wars and tragedies and all the difficulty of human life also contains right now millions of cats purring in warm places. Both things are true. Both things are real. The difficulty and the purr coexisting in the same world on the same night. The purr does not comment on the difficulty. It does not pretend the difficulty doesn't exist. It simply continues in its own frequency, in its own corner, being what it is. And that somehow is enough. That is, in fact, exactly right. A cat in a windowsill in Seoul. A cat on a lap in Lagos. A cat on a sun-warmed stone in Athens, where cats have been living among the ruins and the warmth for thousands of years. A cat in a farmhouse in Ireland, where the walls are thick and the fire is low and the rain on the windows has been going for hours. A cat in an apartment in São Paulo on the 16th floor with the city spread out below, and the cat completely indifferent to all of that, purring into a blanket. All of them right now, this same night, making the same sound. You are on the same night as all of them, the same planet, the same rotation, the same darkness spreading across the same sphere. The cat in Seoul, and the cat in Lagos, and the cat in Athens, and the cat in Ireland, and the cat in São Paulo. They are all on your night, in some time zone, at some hour. You are connected to all of them by the simple fact of being alive on the same world, on the same night, breathing the same air that has been breathed by everything that has ever breathed, recycled and shared and passed along through every living generation since the first breath was drawn. The air in your lungs right now contains molecules that have been in the lungs of cats, of snow leopards in the Himalayas, of Scottish wildcats in ancient forests, of the sand cat on the cold desert at dawn, of the rusty spotted cat in the Indian grassland, of kittens nursing in the dark millennia ago while their mother purred. You are breathing what they breathed. You are, in this small and molecular way, continuous with all of it. Let that be a comfort. Let the continuity of things be a comfort. You are not separate from the warm, breathing, purring world. You are part of it. You have always been part of it. The world is large and old and full of gentleness as well as difficulty, and you are in it right now, in your warm place, breathing. The story is almost finished now, though the night is not. The night will continue long after the words end, and the cats will continue in it, and the purr will continue, and the world will turn slowly toward morning in its own good time. You don't need to stay awake for any of this. It will happen whether you're aware of it or not. The night will do what nights do. The cats will purr. The world will be, in its own quiet way, fine. You can close your eyes now if you haven't already. The morning comes slowly in winter. The dark doesn't simply end. It dilutes gradually, the black becoming deep blue, the deep blue becoming gray, the gray becoming the particular pale light of early morning that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, as if the sky itself is the source. The birds know this transition before it is visible and begin their announcements when the light is still barely there. But you don't need to be awake for the morning. The morning will find you wherever you are. It is very good at that. For now, there is only this, the warm dark, your body resting, your breath moving slowly in and out with barely any effort at all. And somewhere in your awareness, very gently, the memory or the imagination of a sound, low and continuous and warm, felt as much as heard. A rumble that lives somewhere between your chest and the floor, between the present moment and all the moments that have ever been warm and dark and quiet. The purr continues. It continues because cats are purring right now, somewhere in the world. They are always purring somewhere in the world, in the warm corners and the sun-warmed spots and the safe laps and the soft blankets. The ancient mechanism working as it always has, the laryngeal muscles pulsing, the breath carrying the sound out into whatever room contains it. It continues because you carry it now. You've spent this time with the sound, with the science, and the wonder, and the long history of it, and some part of you has absorbed it. The frequency, the rhythm, the quality of ease it communicates. You don't need a cat present to feel it. The memory of it is enough. The idea of it is enough. The body, given a reliable enough cue, will respond as if the thing itself were there. This is what we've been doing together this whole long night. Building a cue, associating this voice, this pace, this quality of attention with the state you're in right now. Warm, still, slightly removed from the world, drifting, so that next time, and the time after that, the cue will work more quickly. The body will recognize it, will settle into it, will know before many minutes have passed that this is a place where rest is allowed. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to put down everything you were carrying today. The tasks, the questions, the things that need attending, the things you said or didn't say, the things that are uncertain or unresolved. And let them wait in their proper places while you do the necessary, healing, ancient thing of sleeping. They will be there in the morning. They are patient. They don't need you right now. Right now, the only thing that needs you is your own body asking for rest, which it has been asking for quietly all day, and which you are now, finally, beautifully, giving it. The cat on the windowsill is deeply asleep now. The purr has stopped, not because anything is wrong, but because sleep is deeper than purring, and the body has gone to a place where even the gentle work of the laryngeal muscles is no longer needed. The cat is simply breathing, quietly, evenly, completely at rest. Its paws are tucked under, its tail is curled around, its whiskers are still and horizontal, its eyes are closed with the completeness of something that is genuinely, fully, unambiguously asleep, not pretending, not fighting it, not holding any part of itself in reserve, just sleeping. In its sleeping, the cat is doing everything it needs to do. The bones are receiving their maintenance vibrations from the tissues, the subtle biological upkeep that continues even in stillness. The brain is doing its quiet nighttime work, filing and integrating and clearing. The body is warm, and the room is dark, and the sleep is deep, and nothing is required, and everything is fine. Be like the cat, just for now, just for tonight. Let everything be as fine as it actually is in this warm and quiet place. Let your body know that it is safe. Let your mind know that it is allowed to rest. Let the small, continuous sound of the world, the purr of it, the low, warm hum of living things at ease in the dark, carry you further along into the night. You have been wonderful company. This channel, this quiet corner, this soft science. It's made for exactly the person you are, at exactly the end of exactly this day. Thank you for being here. The playlist will be there for the next night and the night after that, full of trees and rain and stars and all the other things that are gentle and true and good for sleeping. But you don't need to think about that now. Now there is only the dark and the warmth and the breath and the very soft, very distant, very continuous sound that you can almost hear if you are very quiet and very still. There it is. That's it. That's the purr. Let it carry you. Good night. The Sleepy Science Channel. Slow stories, gentle facts, peaceful nights.